Hey everybody, Joe here. Sorry about such a long delay. I've been working on, I had a part-time job so that I could, basically pay my bills. And then I started working on a little side project for myself. It's a coloring book. And I want to say, my totally biased opinion, it is my favorite coloring book, Tentacles and Teeth. So kind of the inspiration for this is basically, I guess it's one of the things I like to draw. I'll doodle tentacles, teeth, everything. I think there's a heavy influence from Call of Cthulhu and Lovecraftian stuff. So that otherworldly, stuff of nightmares kind of thing. So today, though, I thought I'd share a little bit with you, kind of page through it a little bit, and then let's do some coloring. I'm going to use my favorite colored pencils, which are the Derwent Inktense. I like those a lot because I like being able to play around with the water and stuff. I'm looking around because I realized that I forgot to grab my water brush, but I've got one over here. So a water brush is basically a nice way of not having to re-dip. Make sure I grab the whole thing. Not having to re-dip for the water if you were using the watercolor and that kind of thing. So I got my water brush. I've got my pencils. So let's start with. I've got the title page. I made that so that's based off the cover, and then the last page in here is the back page. So let's go with page 1. Why not, right? Get that set up. Get myself a little crease. When you have a brand new book, it's like one of those things, the pain of scribbling in there. So in terms of strategy, so I want to go with light colors first. And I think with this one, I won't go too radical in terms of the color. So, I think that's what's great about these kinds of things is you can go do the colors, any kind of colors you want. But let's start with the light green. They call it apple green for Derwent. And I'm going to kind of think about where all my highlights and stuff are going to go. So let's start right here with this first little tentacle. And I'm kind of using this kind of rotating, rounded shape. I shouldn't say I'm keeping my pencil moving in a circle, and I think that gives me a nice little way of making sure that things don't get too. You don't see the linearness because since the tentacles are rounded. If I was to go straight up and down, you get kind of a different effect. Now, I'm not too worried about it because I will be going in there and hitting this with some water. And let's see how that goes. I'm going to kind of keep some of these circles open so that I can give them a little bit, some pinks and things like that. Some different, little, what do you call it? Going with colors that are complementary. Okay. Now, and I'm going to think about too, in terms of the shading. So let's get this one tentacle done. And hopefully this kind of stuff can get you into your flow state. I think that's what's nice about coloring. You kind of get into this mode of, let me fill in that shape, and your breathing slows down, and you're kind of more concentrating on what's happening. So you kind of just get into this meditation mode. Keep yourself, the breathing, deep breathing. Kind of relax, get yourself in. See how this goes. I think this tongue, we're gonna do that bright pink. I think, kind of similar to what the dots are. You can go pinks and purples will look really good. So the opposite of green on the color wheel is red, but since this is kind of a lighter green, we kind of can go with the light reds. That's where we get the magentas. And I'm not too concerned about going over the lines. I think that we're going to get kind of a neat effect here. Let's see, we're going to come up here. And I'm going to work in with, before I use the water, I'm gonna pick a darker green. So let's go with let's see what this field green looks like. So Derwent's got their you know, their own color namings. So let's go with field green, and I haven't sharpened it. This is still just, you know, basically right out of the box. So let's kind of think where the shadows could be. You know, let's have the light coming in from the upper right. So I'm gonna color in some of this left side stuff here. But you know, you can kind of take your time if you want, fill in these shapes, and I think they'll work. It'll work as a solid color too. But what's really nice is I think how these Derwents blend. So now the shadow's coming down here, but I'm also thinking about what's in the background. So let's give it a little bit darker so that this front tentacle pops a little bit better. So go here. I'm gonna put a little bit in here. Really, I want these like back shapes to be a dark green. And we can make it even darker by adding in some purple. And because that's kind of, purple's, what's nice is it's got more blue so that it kind of cools it off a little bit more, but it also has that red in there, and that red really can kind of make this green, you know, basically it'll make it really dark. So we might have to use it a little sparingly. Also, we can save that for our second pass. So the nice thing about this, I'm gonna do all of the colors that I can, because what's nice about Inktense is once dry, like once you put the water on it, once they dry, you get a nice, they don't activate anymore. So it becomes kind of a permanent ink, which is cool. And that's what I like. So can kind of go back in, work stuff a little bit more. But we'll add in, you know, all of these colors. I'm trying to think, like, what are the lips and the pink and stuff like that. So we'll come in with that a little bit. And I want to go more towards the purple pink, more towards a cool red. So that's kind of a purplish. So that's like where you get the magentas and the that kind of thing. Magenta. So give them some shadows. Let's go some heavy shadow in here. There's that eye stalk here comes forward. So I don't think I'll worry about coloring the whole page today, because I like to keep this in real time, and I'm not sure how long this kind of stuff takes. So so it looks like I don't really have a magenta. So I've got one here that they call fuchsia. So let's go with the fuchsia, and we'll go real light on some of these gums here. I'm kind of keeping the swirliness of my colored pencil for the first pass here. And because I'm using those water brushes and this will reactivate, I'm not too worried about if I leave a white space, because it'll kind of wash out basically. Let's come through here a little darker. Just kind of lightly go across here. Not worried about the lines. I'll worry about the teeth, because I'd like those to stay whitish, right? You can add in maybe some yellow, some stuff to make them gross. Okay. Let's come through here with the pink tongue. I think for the tongue, let's see what happens when we add some actual red. Looking at my colors, I want this to be a little bit redder of a tongue. So sometimes it's nice to experiment. Let's go grab this one. I think this one is Hot Rod. Nope, Poppy Red. Poppy Red. Let's add some Poppy Red in here, so we can kind of pull up the redness. Now, when you're using the Inktense, the interesting thing too is you have to kind of remember, like, some of these colors are going to get dark, and you need to kind of play around with where those where the lightness is. Like, so if you even though like right now we can kind of see the white of the paper through because of the texture, we might end up with some shapes that get really dark. So I'm a little bit, like I said, this is a little bit of an experiment. Let's find something that gives us a nice little purple. So we have the fuchsia. What do I have here? This one is called, well, how about the one called violet? So I think I'm going to add some violet into the mouth, right? And I'm going to kind of follow some of these wrinkles a little bit. See how it goes. But let's get the back, that back little like epiglottis kind of a thing. Let's get that to be purple. And some of this other shadowy here zone. Let's put some purple in here. Oh, it looks like I missed some fuchsia zones right in here. Some of this too, sometimes what's nice is you'll be able to pick up a little bit of the color with, you'll be able to pick up a little bit of color with the brush. So let's put some of these fuchsia little spots here. Just come through. And you can let's see what happens if we add a little bit, just put a couple little extra dots if you want. You're making this your own, right? This is, I gave you the black, and just coming through with some spots around. Okay, let's see what color for the lip. Let's do something weird. Let's try some blue. I know that's not necessarily what I was thinking, but keeping that spiral moving. But let's see what happens to it. What's it look like when it comes to fruition. Add some stuff in there. Let's see. I'm gonna come through with that violet too, and I'm gonna darken in some of that green, which I think should. Bit. Now, there's no reason that you'd have to add water to these, but as you'll see, I think it's kind of fun. So I got the blue. Let's see, there comes this purple. So I wanted to come in with like where the darkest green should be. I'm gonna add some like right in here. So, because I want some of these things, I want them to pop forward, right? I want these things. I want the other tentacles and the eyeballs and the eye stalks pop forward. Let's see how this goes. And it's quite possible that I'm making a mess, but this is, I'm having fun. I'm going to kind of get a little zen. Feel how things are going. Let's add in some. Let's do something to the teeth too. Let's put some like when people don't brush their teeth and they get that kind of like layer of scum kind of up at the top. Sometimes you can see it if you have a pet dog. You'll see that little bit of edge to the teeth because the parts of the teeth that are chewing and things and biting tend to be whiter. Yellow in there. We'll keep it just yellow for now. If you want to add other things, you could add some more. Like if you had some browns, you could put some browns in there. That would look cool. Okay. So now let's switch gears. Let's see what it looks like when we add a little bit of water. So I'm going to use the sheet on the side here to make sure I've got some water here. And that'll be also what I use to basically clean the brush. The cap, sometimes it doesn't always sit on the back. So I'm gonna put it on the side here so I don't lose it. And let's start. I'm right-handed, so I think I'm gonna start from the left to the right. So let's see what some of these things do. So stick with I'm gonna start with the greens, the lighter colors. and might have to add a little bit more water to the brush, and you do that by just squeezing. And then here comes that purple, so you can see how it kind of really starts to do some weird stuff here, and weird in a good way, I think. So now we've got that darkness. Let's come through the other side here. Let's see what this pink, what the fuchsia does. It's like a nice little spot. Keep that going. Pull the fuchsia up. So as soon as the colors start to move on you, that's where you have to, there's a different level of what care you have to be. But not bad. I don't think it's too bad. And if you're using this in a real dry environment, I think things should dry pretty fast. I'm gonna avoid that pink for now on those like bumps. But you can see how sometimes I can pick up a little bit of green and add it into other zones where I might have missed. So I think these Inktense are pretty forgiving in terms of how you color in your shapes. And I'm kind of still sticking with that rounded motion, circular motion, I should say. Come through. Once I have a little bit of that purple on there, let's pull through. Now the paper, because I'm adding water to it, the paper is wrinkling a little bit. I don't think it should be too bad though, because I'm not adding a lot. So we'll see. One of the things of this is kind of a test run for the Amazon KDP. And I went with Amazon KDP, the Kindle Direct Publishing, because right now I really can't afford to have an inventory or anything like that. I can't afford to produce a book. So I basically kind of piggybacked on their system to see, see what it's all about. And I want to share some of my creations with people, and I don't know if it's because I work so long as a commercial artist, but I get to a point where like I want to share it, but I also I really want this to, I'd love for this to be my full-time job. And so what happens is you basically I fall into a trap of like, oh well, will this sell? Will it not sell? And then, you kind of paint a painting and then it kind of sits there. So I thought with this, I already used, so these are basically, like I inked these in Photoshop and I brought them into Illustrator. So, and I can go through the steps I did for this if you'd like. Let me know in the comments if you think that's something you'd like to see, like you'd like to see me build out a coloring book. My next idea is going to be monsters, and so it's going to be for kids. Monsters and the desserts they love. So I'm going to do this alphabetical list of desserts, and maybe a little sentence about what's interesting about them. Yeah, this purple, that violet, really kind of makes that green dark. But what's cool is, so with this, we'll be able to come back into stuff, and I think we'll be able to add a little bit more green to some of these zones. Like this is kind of a little bit of a hot spot there, and so we can kind of come up a little bit more, so that I can pick up the ink from one zone and move it over to another zone here. Do a little squeeze, get some more water coming out. Get some of these patterns here. Well, when I was creating these, I was trying to think about textures. What's what different things could people want to color in front of, and and I think I did okay. I wanted to think about differences in texture, differences in pattern. What can make things pop? Sometimes it was just, hey, let's see how many, if I do this, like I want to add the spots on these tentacles. How do they work, Let's come through here, pull this up. Like I said, right now I'm leaving those pink dots. I want to see what they look like when we get some shadows in here. I want to see what they look like when when they come through and hit them just with there. So I want to try and avoid too much extra green in my brush. That's where like you might want to like clean off your brush, and then by cleaning it off, you'll see I just go onto a clean piece of paper and I squeeze water through until it looks clear to me. You can add a little bit of what that looks like. Come across. Here's a little bit of pink. It's been a while since I've filmed the video. I apologize for that. Like I said, you start trying to figure out how your schedules work, and kind of get stuck in, what should I do today? I don't know, but I got to do this other thing. So then you're staying there, and then you're just having basically working on stuff, and kind of time gets away from you. And all of a sudden you realize it's been months. So let's see what I come through here. Okay, so. Most of that. Let's clean that off a little bit. We got to come through here. I'm sticking with the green for now. That edge. And I really like these water brushes because they have such a nice point. I think what they're really designed for is for you to add ink into them. And then basically write with, I want to say pictograms. I don't know if that's true, what that is, but basically for Japanese, Chinese, Korean, anything that would use a brush normally for making a figure, making a letter, where those thick and thin lines and the brush strokes really matter. That's what these are good for. So I'm going to leave this one here uncolored. Let's color in. I didn't color in the whole thing, so it comes down through. Kind of worried about making sure that I didn't smudge things with my hand. It's dark. So before I get too far, let's grab that field green again, and let's finish out this tentacle. Go right to the edge. Let's get some extra dark in here. Color over my signature. Yeah. Go to town. You can see it's like that field green is really kind of bright. I think that's what's good about these kinds of things, though. When you're coloring in your tentacles and your teeth, give yourself a little bit of brightness. Okay, now let's do the blue lips. I'm a little bit worried about the blue lips, but I could feel the coldness of the. I'm gonna put my finger on the edge here. Let's see how these go. Well, they're looking pretty good. You can still see a little bit of the texture from the pencil. It has to do with like how hard I pushed, and the if things are pushed into the level of paper, into the nap of the paper, so that you get kind of a little bit of a darker zone. I think the blue works. I think for something like this, you could also have a lot of fun with, what color do you color in the other tentacles. Like, I don't think you'd have to do them all green. I did that on the cover, but there's no reason why you can't make this tentacle yellow or make, Yeah, I think, and I think you can play around with the colors. Like, you can give yourself colors that you think will work. If you go with different kinds of warms, do some kind of warm gradient tones like yellow, orange, and red. But play around with stuff that, you know, maybe doesn't necessarily, you know, go great together. We got the blues. Those look pretty good. Now here's the thing. How's this fuchsia going to look? Let's see here. Let's come through nice and bright. Think about where those shadows were coming through. So that's where I have the darker zones. Trying to avoid the yellow as much as possible, because if I get that yellow and the purple, then it get kind of a brownish color. Okay. Alright, come through here. Some of those little fuchsia zones at the bottom. Now with the tongue, remember I added in a little bit of that poppy red. So this should be kind of a, you know, a little bit of a purplish red. It should be a little bit different from the fuchsia of the gums. Come through here. So something I'm going to try and see. Well, I'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and I'm going to post this to YouTube in the full, like how long it takes, however long this takes me. And then I'm going to also probably post a version where I want to get this down and like speed it up so that it fits under a minute. Okay. So here's the darks underneath the dark purples. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid the teeth as best as I can. Follow those ridges. Follow the ridges and darken in the mouth. That's super purple for the back. Come through the violet, right? Couple squeezes here. Try to get some color. Bump the tooth. All right. If you're worried about how you're coloring and you're, you know, don't worry about it. This is if you're having fun, you're not doing anything wrong. It's like one of those things. Okay, let's clean off the brush so you can see how I can get a couple. All right, and oh, I forgot. I cleaned it up too soon. Let's get these dots here. And you can see I hit the tooth a little bit there, but that's okay because it's a little bit of reddish. And the nice thing about the red is it looks a little bit like there's blood on there, blood on the teeth, a little bloody. Not too bad. But feel free to add as much red to the teeth as you'd like. You know, a little bit of gore. You can see how this yellow just goes through here. Now, if you let this dry, you can kind of work back in with some other colors too. So let me find my cap here. I'll put the cap on. And I'm going to come through with some of the other colors. Let's see, this is a different kind of green. This is teal, so this is more of a blue-green. Don't want that. Let's go with, what's the field green, right? Field green. Let's go with this leaf green. It's kind of more like a olive green. But I think for some of that here, we can get kind of a little bit of a, hopefully it doesn't make it too muddy. Let's just try it in here. A little bit wet still. It's okay. I'm gonna give myself a heavy shadow in here. Think about what's overlapping. And okay. Now let's see here. Let's see what kind of mess we've made. Sometimes I feel like if you're not making a mess, well, you're not learning. Oh, that's not too bad. A little bit on the muddy side. Get some coming up here, but I don't think horrible. I think it does make that tongue pop forward a little bit better. That's good. Didn't go high enough there into that zone. But I think these Inktense colors are pretty forgiving in terms of, what you can play around with and what you can do. Works out pretty well. Definitely like it. So I've linked down below, using my affiliate link for Amazon, where you can get these. And then if you buy things through the affiliate link, that helps me out a lot too. So, like I said, the more I can get closer to doing this as a full-time job, the more of these things I can do, because of time gets freed up. Okay. Let's add some more of that. I think I want to have this. There's a little bit of a white spot here, so let's do that. Come in with that leaf green, which is that darkness, right? And let's put in some of that violet too. So add more of that. So this might go really dark, but I think that's okay, because that, like I said, that's going to make things pop forward. All right. Let's come through here. Let's do this solid purple and see what happens here. I'm going over the lines, not worried about it. I want those black lines to show through, but I want some uniformity between like how I color in these shapes. And let's add some green too. Let's add some of that field green, so that ties things together a little bit better. Let's see what happens here. A little bit more of that field green. Oh, I want a little bit of that. Where did I put it? That leaf green. Is this leaf? Yeah, I want a little bit more of that leaf green up in here. Sometimes if it's not totally dry, the pencil will not smear, but a lot of color will come down. And that's kind of what happened in this zone here. But you can still push it around with your brush. Okay, so I added this in here, so this is going to be really dark. Almost black. Same thing down here. Play around with it. Okay. Like I said, I'm kind of gonna do this and get to a point where I'm going to stop, because color to the edge, because I don't know if you really want to watch a 2-hour video of me coloring a page. So hey, let's see, I think this will do it. Oh, can make sure when you're putting these caps back on, try and double check that your brush tip has a nice point. Because if you put it away and it's all mashed up, it'll stay mashed up for a longer time. So got that closed up. yeah, I think that's where I'm going to stop for today. Coloring in my tentacles and teeth. Hey, let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer them. And let me know if you'd like to see me, step by step work on the next my next coloring book. Right now, the stage I'm in is basically compiling a alphabetic list of desserts, and Wikipedia actually has a pretty good list. So X is the dessert that's going to be a problem, but I figure monsters don't speak English, so I'm going to be having some fun. So, because I think the big thing is with at least my theory on coloring books for kids is the more fun you can make it, the more humor you can add in, the better. And I think that's kind of, this is a horror coloring book, but I kind of think that I can't help it but add in like there's no Easter eggs in this, but there's definitely a a silliness that can happen. So I've got some tentacles and teeth that are a little bit more. Let's see if I can find it. Like these guys, where you basically have your tentacles, your teeth, and like Rolling Stone mouths kind of thing. So the big lips and tongues and stuff. So a little, some trippy stuff. Hope you have fun. And like I said, let me know. And thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. And hey, if you can give somebody a reason to smile, you just might get to smile too. So thanks again, and hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Yo!